Hello everybody, this is J.J. Bell, former Navy parachute reader, former U.S. Air Force crash rescue firefighter, and happened to come across this clip on my, Amazon, sort of like YouTube. But anyway, this guy works out of Denver, Colorado at a aviation aircraft museum, and he really likes the military jet fighters. It's pretty cool, kind of reminds you of, what's the old crazy guy's name? He used to be on Living Color. It's pretty cool. Anyway, he's ironically doing one of the aircraft squadrons that I almost got sent to the last few years of my Navy career. VAQ 134 up at Whidbey Island, which is a derivative of the A6 Intruder, but they call this craft the Prowler. It's a radar jammer. It's done its time. It's retired. The F-18 took over, believe it or not. They call it the F-18 Growler. Instead of a Hornet and Super Hornet, this is the F-18 Growler. It's supposed to be a pretty badass airplane. But anyway, what you're looking at here is the guy on the museum guy on the left, and the backseater who technically does all the jamming and stuff, officer. They're doing a interview. He's going to show you the survival equipment that I used to always check. This is a job that I did in the Navy, making sure all the stuff for a pilot and air crew is up to snuff and meets everybody's standards. I'm rolling.
Workload, but just like everything else, technology has improved. As a crew, we really work together to knock out still the same workload that those 4 people had.
That's amazing. So you're in your flight suit, but when you go flying, you're definitely in a lot more gear than just this.
Oh yeah.
Do you have some of that we can look at?
Oh, of course.
All right, slow roll. Take us through what it takes to get all of this stuff on, because you're not just flying in that, are you?
No, absolutely not. So there are 4 main pieces of gear that we use. My favorite would be the G suit. So all air crew have a baseline G tolerance, G's being the amount of gravity on the body.
Okay.
So 1 G would be normal Earth's gravity, and then 2 to 3 G's would be 2 to 3 times the gravity, all right?
Okay.
So every air crew has a baseline for that. Mine's about 3.5, but this bad boy gives me about an extra 1 to 2 G's without doing anything, without doing any type of anti-G straining maneuver.
Oh, wow.
So it's designed to have a few bladders in it. One throughout the top of the legs and then one down near the calves, where it helps me keep all the blood above my waist as we're pulling G's, so I don't black out or pass out or anything like
Right,
that.
otherwise the blood's just coming right out of your head, and then your vision goes into tunnel
Exactly.
vision, and then boom, you're out.
Without oxygen in your head or
Yeah.
to your eyes, it gets dark really quick.
Okay, I'm stopping this right quick. The Air Force F-16 Fighting Falcon, nicknamed Viper, they have a more of a canted seat, reclined, because that aircraft can pull 9Gs really seriously anytime. And the Air Force actually have a lower G suit like you just seen, and an upper G suit, which I don't think the Navy has adapted that yet. Because the F-16, man, it's a turning and burning little aircraft, man. But anyway, Jim Carrey is the guy this guy reminds me of. Okay, rolling.
So,
That's important if you're flying.
oh yeah, definitely want to be able to see if you're flying, you know what I mean? The next thing would be the harness. Now this has 8 connection points that connect directly to the seat, which is super important because that seat actually has a parachute in it. So if we eject, if that day comes for me, if I don't have this connected, I could be falling out of that parachute, right? So that's going to be super important to have this connected at all 8 points.
Also important.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is all this gear is very important.
Yes, this is essential for survival.
All right, that device he just put back in is pretty much called your harness. You got several different type of a harness. This particular harness kind of like straps you into the seat, and it also does attach to the parachute assembly, which is installed in the seat. I was in the F-14 squadron, which a totally different type configuration of ejection seat and parachute assembly. Much bigger in the F-14s, but the F-18 is kind of a weird one because it goes in a smaller container, and it's been through a couple evolutions where we used to have to take it to a special shop to get this parachute packed inside of a small container. It's actually got baked in a little small container, really, really, really hard. AIMD level higher up than that to actually do it. But I've heard they've changed from the normal. It was a smaller canopy, a 24-foot canopy versus the normal 28, and it's more of a. I heard a flat canopy. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, it gets compressed in and packed, and it has to be baked. I don't know if they changed the procedure because it's been a while since I've been in that position, even though I worked there as a civilian afterwards. But anyway, the other type of assembly is which you probably don't see very much. The old A7s. Technically, the parachute was actually worn on your back. It's more of like an Air Force style parachute, a BA, they call it BA 25, BA 35, and you wear it on your back, and you actually go out to the airplane with the parachute off your backside, and then when you sit inside the ejection seat and you get strapped in, once you go through the ejection sequence, there's a bladder or other means that pushes you out of the seat, called seat man separation. But in this particular aircraft, and with most Navy fighter jets, you stay in the seat until you get to 14,000 plus or minus 1,000 feet, and then they'll have a device that a drogue chute will cause the actual main parachute to deploy, which is attached to your harness there, and the seat will fall away from you. And as it do, you have a C-pan that you're sitting on with a cushion. It will stay attached to you, and it will fall away and open up. The life raft will inflate. So when he does hit the water, he got immediate access to get to the life raft. Most important thing he has to do, and hopefully he is conscious when he lands in the water, is to cut that parachute away as quickly as he can. Because if you don't, that parachute will drag your ass under like an octopus to drown you. Now, and also the LPH, the thing is a flotation device. When I first came in, the pilots pretty much had to inflate it themselves, but they had a thing called CWARs, which is saltwater activated. Just like you said, if he blacks out, pulls too many G's or whatever, and hits the water, it will automatically inflate when the salt water is detected. It's really important. A lot of reasons why you get a lot of mysterious crashes and no explanation reason why is a lot of pilots like to play hot rod and take that mask off once they leave the ship. They don't like it on their face, kind of restricts them or feels weird on them. And they get to doing the turning and burning and get jumped, and they can't get that thing clipped in, and they got to do some evasive maneuvering. They can black out. And if they don't come to before that damn jet hits the ground, that's pretty much the cause of it. Alright, going back.
Good to know.
Next we have the survival vest. This has a few cool things on it. So this is our LPUs. If I'm ever in water, it's automatically activated by seawater. So if I'm knocked out or anything like that, I hit the water, boom, this can inflate right away. So that's super cool, keep you alive. We have a radio, and we have a bunch of little pockets that have things like knives in them. We have flashlights, we have water, all types of things that can keep you alive if you're ever
strobe light
in the wilderness from after ejection. Lastly on this, we have our air regulator. So this is going to be super good to have, having this oxygen hose, because as you fly 25, 30,000 feet in the air, air's a lot thinner, so we need to have something pumping pure oxygen to us at all times.
And you wear that from...
Interrupt. Here's where the Navy separates from the Air Force. In the Navy, they pretty much put more information in one particular member, knowledge-wise, experience-wise, job level-wise, because we don't have that big of a room and you can't have that many different personalities, whereas everything he's talking about, the Navy guys certified to pack the parachutes, certified to do all this, inspect everything that he's wearing. Whereas in the Navy, in the Air Force, they got one guy who technically packs the parachute, that's his job. They got another guy who issues flight gear, like the flight suit, that sews the patches on the jacket, like Tom Cruise and all that stuff. Then they have another shop that actually works on the liquid oxygen, which they don't talk about in this here, because I don't think they use liquid oxygen in this plane no more. They use what they call OBOX system, recreates the oxygen. And the higher you up, the more oxygen you need to be added to the air supply that it takes from outside. because the air is a lot thinner, as he says, higher you go. So you have to have a supplement of oxygen to keep you from passing out, anoxia and hypoxia, too much, too less, in the blood system. And so I don't know if you ever seen a lot of air shows, or just, in particular a airplane jet crash, and you see this. You'll see it first, the first explosion, and then you'll see this big, huge explosion. Well, that's that liquid oxygen, super, doing its thing to rejuvenate, reward the air fuel mixture, and adds that pure oxygen in there, boy, and it just boom. That's why the space shuttle had boom, big boom, with all that stuff, man. Liquid oxygen is 297 degrees below zero. We had a lot of fun with that stuff. Air Force, whole different guy has to work on that stuff. Whereas the Navy guys, everything, we do it all, and because they don't have enough room to put all those personnel on the ship, so they put all that knowledge in one guy. I kind of like that. And there's other things that Air Force has another guy do. Technically, we do about 5 to 4 different jobs that the Air Force guys do, like the rubber room. That's part of the AIMD, higher level maintenance, where you actually pack the parachutes, but you also have to open up the C-pans and inspect the lot numbers and everything that's stored in there. Also, you got to inflate the life raft and do a inflation check. Make sure it can hold the air pressure. If not, you find the leak and patch it and all that, and repack it back into the C-pan, and then give it back to the squadron. And the squadron guy takes it out, the AME they call it, puts it in the ejection seat, and everything's all good. But yes, it's a big difference between the Air Force and the Navy. Guy who handles this, they got different designation. Us, we're just called PR, short name for parachute rigger, but the professional name is called Air Crew Survival Equipment Man. All right, rolling.
Start to finish.
From takeoff to shutdown.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this being the Pacific Northwest and this being a survival vest, is there some way to put like Starbucks in there, or maybe Tully's?
Oh, man, I wish. I mean, maybe a few hot cocoa packets.
Yep.
You can actually carry up to 5 extra pounds on that thing, but it's pretty heavy already. So it just depends. You got to really make some decisions on what you want to take. So this is the big coup de grace, right? The helmet. This bad boy is our JHMX, Joint Helmet Mounted Queuing System, and this is super expensive for what it does. So it has a computer on the top of it, and it basically gives me a ton of information.
All right. Yeah, he's not joking about that helmet. That is probably the latest generation of naval flight helmets. When I came in '79, it was just a basic hard shell plastic helmet with a built-in liner and a visor protector with a slider at the top. Pretty much white, nice USSN on the front of the visor cover. Shortly after I became a parachute rigger, the Navy stopped the pilots. Most of the pilots was wearing these custom helmets, man. They would pick up from somewhere downtown San Diego. And they came out with a thing from Sink, Pack, Fleet, Commanding, all that good stuff. And they wanted the helmets to be pretty much uniform, and so they stopped them from wearing all these customized helmets with the different paint jobs and all that. They wanted the helmet to actually represent what the squadron logo was. And so that was the order. Came in, and we did a lot of reflective tape. Taping them helmets, boy. Woo! Some guys was good at it, some guys weren't. I was pretty good at it. And shortly after after my third cruise, I was on the Enterprise. First cruise, I was in USS Coral Sea, and I was in the E-2B Hawkeye aircraft. It's the Navy's version of the Air Force's AWACS. $144 million. I was also a plane captain on it before I actually got rewarded to go to my A school to learn my professional trade in the Navy. But getting back to the jet, a lot of pilots were having issues with the helmets and stuff, and so the big wigs in the Navy, Comnav, Air Pac, Sink Fleet, whatever, decided they were going to contract these new helmets, lightweight helmets, with the actual shell that fits inside there that you could fill with this mixture of foam. The custom fit the helmet. There's a big story about that now. That gaseous stuff, man. They stopped us from doing it after the fact that many of us that was already at sea was doing it in a little confined space. We're supposed to have been in a bigger open airspace. Then After that, they said, oh, it has to be, a pilot has to be wearing a respirator, and then they went on with that, and then they stopped us and said, well, both of you guys have to wear a respirator, and so I'm waiting for the recall. And how many of you guys have were in the Navy had this problem? Anyway, getting back to the old helmet thing, then once I got out of the Navy and I got hired to work for McDonnell Douglas, now Boeing, at the Naval Air Station Fallon, Nevada, where the Naval Strike Air Warfare Center is, and then when San Diego Top Gun moved up there, they combined the schools, and things started getting a little bit like cat eyes, a little device that clips on top of the helmet, and they pretty much had went away from the white reflector tape, and that's another little story. Technically, the helmets had to, so we had to make these little covers that was camouflage when Desert Storm was kicking off over the desert, and to, you know, the white, you don't want that white reflective stuff giving away your position if you have the eject, you know, and they looking for you at night, so you had to wear that thing on there. Plus, you had night vision goggles, which had to be attached to the top part of the helmet, and they stopped doing the visor protectum thing, so it had a clip on the front part of the of your helmet, and they were pretty good, man. We'd go test them in the upstairs bathroom. Had to put signs on the door. Somebody would come in and interrupt it because these things were so, oh, they was just so cool. I mean, you could see like night and day. You know, I mean, inspect them. Back then, that night vision stuff was about 20 grand added to each helmet, and now, oh my God, you gotta see the stuff they got now. Now note, this guy's the backseater. He does the jamming and all that, but the guy up front, oh my God, they got the tracking system. Technically came from the Army with that the Oracle that came down in front of the guy flying. Wherever he looked at, that chain gun on the bottom of the old Apache helicopter would follow whatever he looked at. But now they got similar systems where, as if the type of missiles, you got your Sidewinder, you got your AMRAAM, and you got your Sparrow. Your Sidewinder is what you call a heat seeker. Then you got your Sparrow, which pretty much you have to line of sight, watch it get to the target, and then you have the AMRAAM. It has a little bit of a guidance system. But now they refine everything, whereas they have a built-in device, sort of like a heads-up display in your actual helmet visor, and pretty much works in the same way. You keep your eye on the bandit, and that missile will keep right on the tracking to that damn hits the target. And they are worth a lot more than 40 grand right now. A lot more. There's another little story to those helmets too when I get back to let me roll this here and I'll talk about that right after this.
To my right to my eyes, so it's almost like having a HUD on your head.
Wow, that is really cool. And I'm assuming it also works with like night vision goggles and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, it definitely does. Yeah.
So you were telling me earlier that you can, if you're literally wearing this and you're looking around and you can't find a target, you can look down and it'll look right through the plane.
Well, it won't show you like the systems in the plane, but yes, you can definitely see something right through. If it's below you, if it's to the side of you, if it's without your vision. If I'm looking for one of my wingmen, I can definitely look out. If I can't see him right away, I can get an indicator showing me exactly where he's at.
That is so cool. Well, Slow Roll, I appreciate everything. You have been awesome.
Definitely.
Now, are you flying today?
I'm not flying today, but there are a few guys getting ready for a mission, so let's stick around for that.
Alright, this will be doing in my shop. This will be my shop. I will see the pilots come, do what they're doing now, take off and go. What you just saw was the old system with that clip-on night vision thing. Like I said, they got a thing now. It just totally look like out of this world, man. Big old front part of the helmet. All kinds of sophistication in that thing. That's your regular Hornet there. Oh no, Super Hornet, excuse me. There's the old CH-6B Prowler. That's the squadron I was supposed to be going to.
If you want to rule the electronic battlefield, this is your aircraft. It's given stealth to the U.S. military for nearly 50 years and is only just recently given its job to a more sophisticated aircraft.
And faster.
From exploring the unique features of the Prowler in our collection at Wings Over the Rockies, to visiting Naval Air Station Whidbey Island to check out the successor of this aircraft, the Growler, we've taken you behind the wings of the EA-6B Prowler.
That's the plane that crashed on board the Nimitz, and unfortunately, there was some people killed, and they did a drug test, and 3 of the aircrew member had marijuana in their system. 1 didn't, and then that's what started what they call Operation Golden Flow. You got to take that old piss test, and yeah, that bird, man, was pretty unique, man. Crew member of 4, each set of breasts, front and back. And they did what they supposed to do. They jammed the damn radar sites now. But that damn that F-18 Growler, man, much faster, much more sophistication, and only has 1 guy that's doing what the 3 other guys did. You got the pilot. Actually, I got your pilot and a co-pilot, and then you had 2 guys in the back that did the jamming and stuff. But in the F-18, you got the pilot in front, and then you got your aircrew member. He's considered like a pilot, but it's similar as if he runs the sophisticated machinery and stuff in the back. Pilot does all the flying up front, all the evasive maneuvers if that ever happened, and homeboy in the back operates the jamming systems. He also can, I'm pretty sure they both can launch the missiles once it gets locked in on a radar site to knock them out for the incoming attack. But yeah, they had tried to get me to go to Whidbey Island. VAQ 134. This is after I came back from Hawaii, which I went to Hawaii. It was technically a shore duty command when I went over there, and it was a secret squadron. We dealt with the nuclear weapon triad system with the Air Force because of the submarines, and that's all I'll say. And they were losing a lot of money because the C-130 had a crew member of 21 to 23 crew members. Some of them had a sleepover, and they would deploy them up to Moffett Field, California, and they would be gone for about a month. But they had to pay a lot of separation pay because it was like them going on sea duty. They were deploying, and so the Navy wanted to save some money because they had most of the aircrew on that particular aircraft were married, and so the Navy was losing a lot of money. So they decided to convert the squadron to sea duty. So instead of us working Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, we started working like we were actually at sea, 12-hour shifts. But it was pretty cool because we only worked 4 days a week. That meant you got 3 days off, and 3 days off in Hawaii, man, that was awesome. And usually we let 2 or 3 guys go home early at 5 o'clock, and then we'll just have a shift there to wait until the relieving shift come in. So it was the best duty I've ever had as far as being, let's say, a skate type situation. My race already was called a skate raid because it's not really a hard work, but it's technical work. Anyway, so when I left Hawaii, I went back to my old F-14 squadron. My wife, Linda, had joined the Navy from Hawaii, and she was on sea duty. She went to USS Acadia, and we had a daughter, Sharon. We got called up to my career counselor called me up and said, "Hey, Petty Officer Bell, what you doing here, man?" I said, "What do you mean? I wanted to come back to my beloved squadron." He says, "No, man. He says, you're not supposed to be here. He says, your wife is on sea duty. You're on sea duty. You both have a kid. You got a kid, brother. One of y'all going to have to go to shore duty." And he says, "Well, here's how this works. Whoever has the most duty time acquired will have to go to shore duty." That was me. So I got sent to VS-41, which I hated. That's the old Sub Hunter aircraft. Just didn't work out with me. Long story. But anyway, once I got my surgery and everything on my ankle off of limited duty, I wanted to try helicopters. And so I went to HC-1, which is the first helicopter squadron in the Navy. That was pretty interesting, but I gotta tell you, man, that old bird took a lot of man hours to keep it going. That hydraulic leak, oh my God. But that put me on Coronado Island, man. Naval Air Station North Island, whirlybirds and the old Sub Hunters. I was a Miramar man, F-14 Tomcats, baby, and E-2B Hawkeye. But anyway, so that put me up to 10 years on shore duty, boy. And my assignment detailer said, "Man, This dude been on show duty for 10 years. I got a phone call from some chief from VAQ 134. He goes, this is Chief Patterson calling from Whidbey Island. We got some paperwork say you're supposed to report up here in 10 days. I kind of laugh, right? You know, because I had already put my paper in to retire. And I go, I thought it was a bogus phone call, actually. And the guy heard me laughing. He goes, is this Petty Officer Jesse James Bell? I say, yeah. Well, this is Chief Patterson. This is a serious call. It says, we got paperwork. Says you're supposed to be reporting here in 10 days. And I said, Chief, I don't know how my name come back into the system, but I'm going to tell you right now, my next duty station will be Naval Air Station backyard, because I'm retiring. Hey, I can't help it because the Navy wanted to save some money and converted the squadron I went to for shore duty back to sea duty. So that made me just came off for what? VAW 113 sea duty, then to VF 213 sea duty. So you can say, hell, I was on sea duty for like the first 4 years straight. But you know, you're not always at sea. You got your downtime between cruises, you know, and get your airplanes ready to go out for your next cruise. But yeah, 10 years on shore duty, boy, that sure upset them, man. But hey, I ain't had nothing to do with it. But I sure didn't want to go to Whidbey Island. Didn't want to have no parts of that place. Nope. I was a fighter jet guy. Baddest bird, sexiest aircraft in the damn Navy, baby. F-14 Tomcat, VFW. No, what am I talking about? VF-213, Fighting Black Lions. Yes, VFW is something you do after you retire. And my other squadron was VAW 113. It's like the Air Force AWACS, a very sophisticated aircraft. And I'm proud to serve in both of them. Proud to have done my time in the Navy. Hey, man, if you listen to this whole thing, thank you. And now you know what it's all about.